studio. And this time around, I'm joined by Sister Marzia. Sister Marzia, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Now, today, we're going to deal this entire episode with how to deal with difficult people. Now, as we've seen, the basis of many a relationship, whether you're getting into a relationship, whether you're kind of seeing this thing on any rom-com, movie, TV, or you're living this in real life, at a certain point in your relationship, you think to yourself, I can fix this person. This person is a little bit difficult to deal with. The onus, the burden, the responsibility is on my shoulders, whether you're the spouse in the relationship or whether and I'm going to be very stereotypical here, Sister Marzia. Please forgive me. That's not who I am. But many a time, at least what I've seen in the media, and the media does perpetuate certain tropes, certain stereotypes, but many a stereotype is, the woman in the relationship, the either the wife, the spouse, the girlfriend, wanting to fix the man, quote unquote. Okay. And that somehow she'll fix the man will become a better person. So now that we've kind of set the stage, and I know we don't have anything rehearsed, that's just the way these podcast sessions, episodes go. I'll let you dive right into it. You're a former lawyer turned marriage and family therapist. You've been doing this now for almost 20 years, you mentioned. So tell us some of your experiences and give us the groundwork, give us actual examples, make it relatable to people, right? We've all gone through this in our relationships. Either we've been difficult to deal with for the other person in our relationship, perhaps the other person has been difficult to deal with. There's so many angles to cover here. So I'll let you launch right into it.
Okay. So, Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
Wa alaikum salam.
You mentioned that, so are we only talking about spousal relationships here?
No, any relationship,
Okay.
it could be work relationship. It could be like a sibling relationship, father, son, mother, daughter, in-laws. Wow. We're just going to go straight into the landmines here, aren't we? Let's go in-laws. Absolutely.
So actually, before we do that, right? You said that a lot of people launch into relationships, especially the marriage relationship, thinking potential, I'm going to fix this, right?
Yeah, I got this. I'm going to fix it. This can be a better person because I'm involved and so on, right?
Yeah. And my advice to young people always is, please do not marry a project.
Whoa, that's profound. Please say that again, and you can look into this camera here.
So do not marry a project. And what do we mean by that?
Yeah, tell us.
Right? So often, when I'm working with people who are in the premarital state, who are considering, spouse selection and things like that, they would say, yes, I have all of these concerns and, we'll make it work. We will, people change. I've dealt with this kind of bad behavior, for example, in my own family, so I'm used to it. These are all, pretty concerning when this shows up in the therapy room. The reason being that, yes, people do change. Everyone changes. We all grow, hopefully. The concern is that people don't grow on our agenda.
Oh, okay.
They will change for sure as time goes on, but not in ways that we want them to necessarily, right? And it's, one of the things in the premarital state, and this sounds quite pessimistic, but it's to make people aware of when they see red flags or when they see something really concerning,
yes,
and they decide to go ahead thinking that it will change, right? As those of us who've been married for a while, we know that the good stuff from the courting stage may or may not last.
Okay. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because people tend to be on their best behavior during the courtship period.
Yeah. Very true.
The concerning behaviors tend to get worse.
Oh,
How and why? Because people settle in, they don't need to prove anything anymore.
right.
Um,
They're not going to be on their best behavior
they
anymore, right?
exactly.
Because basically now they've got the ring.
Mhm,
They put a ring on it, as
mhm.
they say. Okay.
So, does this mean we are looking for something perfect? Of course not. Of course
Hmm.
not, right? However, we need to go in with eyes open that what you see, you need to be able to live with what you see, at least what you see right up front.
Okay.
So, for example, if someone is showing tendencies towards temper,
Hmm.
right? Or they want to know every minute where the other person is. If you can live with that, great, go ahead, right? But if you think that will change when you get married, that's when relationships get into trouble.
Okay. All right. All right. So then, I mean, Sister Marzia, look, especially, I guess, in certain cultures, right? Whether, I guess, you're South Asian, or maybe you're like a first generation immigrant to Canada, or even second generation. Look, some of these generational traumas, I guess, if you want to call it that, or just cultural differences, we're kind of set in our ways, aren't we? We as many Muslims, we don't date,
Mhm.
right? So then what can we do, like in the premarital stage? Either maybe you're, you're, and we've had multiple podcasts in the past, and I think even, producer Kasha, please correct me if I'm wrong, even I think just maybe 2 podcasts back, we had a marriage counselor that literally said, look, you get your parents involved. No one knows you better than your parents, or even get like, an uncle involved, or maybe an aunt, or maybe someone close within the family that knows you. These family members, they want the best for you. They genuinely do. Or even if you need like a friend. But, when you're in that courting stage, if I'm remembering correctly, the guest basically said, your brain is kind of like on an endorphin high, right?
Absolutely.
Like you said, you're courting, you're on your best behavior, you're going to be on time, you're going to treat people the best, you're going to treat the other person the best, you're going to want to show that best front face. So then if you're kind of on this endorphin high, if you're like, oh man, this is the person I want to wed for the rest of my life, and we all know the various hadith that, getting into marriage is half the faith, the other person, you're supposed to protect them like how a garment protects you and cover up their faults and all that good stuff. Alhamdulillah, there's wisdom in all of this. But like you say, if there's a red flag, those red flags will get more concerning,
Absolutely.
right? So in your 20 something years of experience, and again, it's just not in many a culture, perhaps the right word here is Muslim culture. I'm not saying Muslim faith as per what we're taught to practice, but in terms of a cultural experience, we don't do like pre-marriage counseling, right? We many families don't, and I'm gonna implore the younger generation to do that so they can at least find out, right? But in your practice, what have you advised? Either new couples, young couples, or maybe just couples set in their ways, right? Like what, maybe the spectrum, it's up to you. How would you approach that?
Yeah. So I have an acronym which I
An
usually do.
acronym.
Mhm.
Okay.
And my advice is
Hopefully it's
always
not KISS. Keep it
no,
simple,
no,
stupid. No.
no,
Okay.
it's not. So, um, in the premarital state, you're absolutely right that, and actually, I've seen things change
Oh.
in the 20 years that I've been working. When I started, I didn't really like working with pre-married couples,
Mhm.
just because I found they were in la la land. They were like on that endorphin high that you speak about. They weren't really in touch with the realities of what makes a long-term marriage successful.
Right.
And so even I've been leading pre-marriage marriage enrichment courses for many many years, and they simply wouldn't be paying attention, right? um, what I've noticed in the last decade or so, that people are waiting slightly longer to get married. They're older, they have careers, and so they have real issues, and they are going into marriage much more with open eyes. So it's really fun to work with them because you're talking about real issues. You're talking, they're there to learn. And at least when you are at the spouse selection stage, my recommendation is at least look for these 5 things. Consider them before saying yes. And I actually have a video, which talks about this in a very brief way. So the first is faith and family.
Faith and family. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So
Seems straightforward enough.
Right. Why? Because we know whether or not we live with our families, away from our families, they make us who we are.
For sure.
We learn things unconsciously while growing up from our families.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever is modeled seems normal, right?
Yeah. And if I may, I mean, look, for any of us who have Italian friends, for any of us who have like friends of Greek descent, there's a famous saying that you marry into the family.
Absolutely.
That is, you basically become a part of the family. You're not marrying the person, you're marrying that person's entire family. And so then by extension, you accept that family practice, that family culture, those family values, and so on, right?
Yeah, I mean, maybe.
Okay. Oh, please.
Yeah. So what
you don't have to agree with me here on everything. This is your platform here.
So what I'm talking about is to consider that as one of your deciding factors.
Okay.
Right. So what I advise young people is, if you're deciding with your heart, take your mind along.
Sage advice.
And if you are, some people have a really cold, calculated kind of decision. They check all the boxes. I never really liked them, but they checked all the boxes, right? And that's not necessarily healthy as well.
Yeah.
So it's both making a decision with your heart and your mind.
Okay. Got it.
So the acronym is FACES, right? FACES.
Okay.
And so faith and family is the first one.
Got it.
A is attitudes and actions of the conscience.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Okay.
So who you are in the dark, right?
Right.
Who you are with people who can't necessarily help you or harm you. What is your akhlaq, basically?
Yes.
And so you could call it akhlaq as well from the Islamic perspective, your character, right? And of course, that takes a little bit of. So let's leave it at that for now.
If I may just say, I mean, I mentioned in a few podcasts back, you look at someone like Muhammad Ali, right? Icon, the original GOAT, as all the kids say nowadays, greatest of all time. And he's famous for a number of quotes, but one that always sticks out in my mind is, how you deal with people. And as an example, if we're at a restaurant, it's more telling how you deal with your host, with your waiter, with the wait staff, than how you deal with the people at the table, right?
Absolutely. Yes, because that's what you're going to be at home.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So A is akhlaq, attitudes and actions of the conscience.
Love it.
C is compatibility.
Compatibility. Okay.
So young people talk a lot about compatibility these days, right? Again, compatibility is a little bit more detailed than that. What people generally think of as compatibility is lifestyle compatibility.
Oh,
right. I mean, interests and all
makes
of that.
Makes sense. Yep.
Right?
Yep.
But compatibility is actually of 3 types at least. One is, yes, lifestyle. One is interests. Do you like the same apps? Do you visit the same websites? Do you watch the same
movies?
TV, right?
Yeah.
But actually, the most predictive compatibility in terms of what predicts a strong relationship is values compatibility.
Values. Okay.
What do you consider important in life? And further down along, when people get into really major trouble, it's generally because their values are not aligned.
Right.
And if you don't have those conversations right at the beginning, it's hard to pick that up. Just because somebody visits the mosque, for example,
Mm.
on a regular basis, we kind of put them in a certain box.
Yes.
And your values still may not necessarily, because again, religiosity is very important. Faith, we said, is the number one thing. But what matters in your day-to-day life is operational religiosity, which means how do you practice your faith at home?
Right.
Comes back to, again, what is your conscience? What is your character? How do you deal with others in the home?
Right. And if I may, again, and I'm going to put also a religious lens on this. Look, it comes down to some major life decisions, right? As a Muslim couple, and as the process of adulting, you'll come to a point in your life where you'll be like, okay, hun, we want to buy a new house. Yes, as expensive as houses are in the greater Toronto area, without a doubt. But inshallah, if Allah blesses you and you're in the you have the opportunity to get a new house, you're going to ask yourself, do we get a mortgage? Do we rent? Right? I'm not going to start all of a sudden going down the path of, this is what the religion says. That's a topic for another day. But if you guys are not aligned on that, that could be a major cause of, a very difficult discussion, right? A very heated discussion, let's just say, an argument, basically, right? Maybe you're just not aligned. Oh, well, let's just get a mortgage. Doesn't matter what the interest rate is. We'll just ask Allah for forgiveness. He'll forgive us. Okay, alhamdulillah. Right? Oh, let's rent. Allah will put barakat and khair, blah, blah, blah. I think even now I've said already enough. This is a very kind of touchy subject always, but, it's one that will happen in real life, right? Couples will discuss it. Same thing, you want to say, okay, well, we understand what's going on in Canada and the US and the world in general. We want to put, maybe one spouse says we want to put the child in Islamic school. The other spouse says, no, public school is the way to go. Hey, let's just put them in Catholic school. There's good and bad with both, pros and cons. Again, these are hard life choices you have to make. Absolutely. Right? So is that like, am I just
yes
kind of stretching here, reaching out on a limb? Is that like compatibility?
These are compatibility of values, right? Of what's important to you. So moving on to faces, right?
Yeah.
E
Okay.
is examples of other relationships.
Oh, okay.
How do you generally get along with people in your life?
Okay.
One of the things that kind of raises my eyebrows is if I go to a wedding and the people speaking for the bride or groom, giving the speech or whatever, is someone they've known for 3 months. It may be, they may have a really good reason, but it would be good to inquire more. How come they don't have long-term friendships? How do they get along with their family? How do they get along with their work colleagues? How do they get along with friends? Do they have long-term relationships that are solid?
That's a great point. Great point. I was at a dear friend of mine, his son's wedding, and his and as for the groom had his best friend since public school, right? Whatever it was, grade 3, grade 4, he got up. So clearly, I mean, they're no longer kids, but now this young man is speaking on behalf of the groom, his best friend. I've known so-and-so, I'm not going to say the name. I know so-and-so since, grade school, since public school, since grade 3. He's always had this character. He's always had this characteristic. He's always had this quality about him. Come on, like that in and of itself is just such a strong, glowing testimonial of a person, right? I mean, to your point, if it's just maybe 3 months, this person's solid. They come to work on time. Yay! I vouch for the person. Is it really like? Okay, you bring up an excellent point. Yeah. Excellent point.
And the last one, S, for faces, is skills.
Skills
of relationships, right?
Oh, do tell. What does this mean
so
exactly?
Communication, right? That tends to be the biggest thing. How can you talk? Can you listen? Can you express yourself? Can you express your needs? Can you listen? Can you forgive? Can you show appreciation?
Oh, right.
Skills of relationship is it's the small things. One of the things, one of kind of my mantras in relationships is small things often. It's not, again,
Well said.
the challenge of today is that there is so much external pressure on relationships because of social media.
Yeah.
Starting with the proposal, it has to be Instagrammable, right?
Yeah. Good point.
The
Good point,
wedding
Sister
has to
Marzia.
be Instagrammable.
Yeah, I
You know,
was at a number of weddings all throughout the summer into the fall. Yeah.
And reality is, again, I talk from the science of relationships. These things have zero predictive value on how happy your relationship is going to be, right?
Okay.
Zero.
Okay.
So what does matter, it doesn't matter how many guests there were at your wedding, what you wore, how much fun people had. What does matter is how you show up for each other every single day.
Okay,
It's
love it.
the rituals and routines of relationships.
The rituals and routines. Okay.
And that takes intentionality.
All right. Intentionality. Yes.
It takes learning, because none of us, came with this knowledge, right? It is something.
True.
And there's a lot of talk about a lot of pessimism about relationships today. One of the questions I get asked most is, why are marriages so fragile? Why do so many of them end up distressed?
Right.
And I look at it from the other side, and that is, yes, that may be true. We have very real challenges today, and we have a lot of resources. Our parents and grandparents weren't listening to a podcast like this.
True.
on how to build healthy relationships.
Yeah.
So relationships today are a science. They're very predictable. So when a couple comes in, working with them, I know what went wrong.
Okay.
And I know how to help them get back on track.
All right.
So that's the really good news. It's no longer an auntie giving you advice.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So skills of relationships out of all of these things are actually things that we can learn. And we should learn. I call it, we do professional development for everything.
Yeah.
No one would think of staying in a job and not honing your skills to do better.
Yeah.
But for the most important relationships in our lives, our marriage, our parenting, we think, this is instinctive. So there's no shame in learning what works.
Well said.
And the thing is, today we know what works,
Yeah.
which is the really inspiring and hopeful message.
All right. Well, let's use that as a jumping off point. Producer Kashif, I'm sure we have questions. Please go ahead.
Yes, Jazakallah khair. Before we get to the questions, I'll just share some information here.
Yeah, please.
So I've been sharing some contact information on the screen, but so Instagram, you can follow Sister Marzia. The handle is Marzia Hassan, and all sorts of great content, reminders, and resources over there. So I encourage everyone to check that out. You can also connect via the website, marziahassan.com. And I believe also .org is also one of your websites, correct?
I have like 8 websites.
So yes, so before we move on with the questions, why don't you maybe give you an opportunity to share what you might have coming up, or if there's anything of, do you want the audiences to check out or contact?
Please.
Yeah, so I'm always working on new things. One of the books that I plan to write, which I've started work on, but for many reasons, life has come in the way, is about how to spoil a perfectly good relationship.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Okay.
So,
what a great title.
Yeah. So it's about, what I see in my office day to day. And I use a lot of humor in my work because I think life is serious enough.
Yes.
If we can learn with a little bit of lightness and humor, why not?
Why not?
So, sometimes when couples are sitting with me, I'll share this with them that, I'm actually writing a book. And what you've just said now, it gives me the inspiration for another chapter.
Okay, there you go.
So the thing is that I think I can, a lot of new therapists are actually horrified when I share this with them. But here's the thing. I've been doing this for a while, and I think age and experience gives you a little bit of leeway.
Definitely.
I wrote like 1,000 blogs. They're called Daily Wisdom, and I published for 4 years, 5 times a week kind of thing. So people who come to me have either read my work or heard me, or, in person or
Okay.
on another platform.
Yeah.
So you have built already that kind of relationship.
That trust.
That trust,
You know what?
exactly.
Sister Marzia can help.
Yeah. So, and I laugh at myself as well, because I think human beings, we do dumb things sometimes.
We shouldn't take ourselves too seriously.
Exactly.
All right. Good. Producer Kashyap, let's get into some questions.
Jazakallah
please.
khair. And sorry, just you are registered, so I encourage everyone to check. They should a lot of, if you have insurance through your work, a lot of this may be covered. And end of the year approaching, those benefits are going to quickly run out. So I encourage folks to look into that.
Yeah, great point. Producer Kashyap mentions it every podcast whenever we get a chance. And again, keep in mind, people, anybody watching, those benefits are there for you to use. I repeat, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but if you don't use them, it's not benefiting anyone. The company gets to hold on to that money. The insurance firms or healthcare, firms, they hold on to that money. That money is there for you to use. Those healthcare funds, credits, whatever your employer calls them, use them or lose them. That's it. It's simple as that. So yeah, please.
I don't think I've ever got such a plug before, so thank you.
You're welcome. No worries. Absolutely. Why not?
So inshallah, some of the comments coming in. Alhamdulillah, very much needed podcast. Thank you all to cover this topic. May Allah reward you all immensely.
Ameen.
So we have someone else saying, excellent topic. We all need this. Someone is saying, interesting topics. These are the types of things we need to address in community and learn to navigate to move forward and build stronger communities.
Thank you.
Someone is saying, excellent quality, looks great. Important topic. Inshallah, I pray I can listen with open mind. And I plan maybe a typo in my, maybe implement in my life. I think maybe, I'm not sure. So so I'll get to some of the questions that were coming up and have come up before through Instagram and other channels. So one of the first topic was sort of, you cannot change or fix other people. So maybe there's some scenarios around that topic. And before every Q&A, I do caution that this is a podcast. We're not going to be able to get into specifics. There's a lot more nuances and stuff. So this is just general advice. But I do encourage everyone, we presented the contact information to reach out. So through Instagram, we were getting a question about, not being able to fix other people's, but they're saying, Salam, Marzia, how do I handle a family member, parents who constantly criticize? It's exhausting and demotivating.
Oh, okay. So yeah, let's get into the in-laws. I mean, let's get right into it.
Well, not in-laws or even parents.
In-laws.
Yeah. Sorry. My bad. A parent.
Yes, absolutely. And this is a very real issue that many of us face.
Okay.
Also, just a little bit of background. My generation of parents and above, my parents' generation, they did their best. They continued to do what was done in their homes. Very strong value that we have in Desi communities is aim for the best. You need to work hard. You need to be good. You need to perform. You need to aim high.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the background. And unknowingly, they learned to motivate through criticism.
Oh, good point. I never saw it that way.
Right?
Yes.
So we need to, absolutely, we'll come to how we can navigate it. But, and a lot of people I work with, in our communities, there's this constant kind of tension between honoring parents and recognizing the baggage from childhood.
Right.
And sometimes, we seem to think that it's either one or the other.
Okay.
If I recognize that, when my parent criticizes me, it actually is really challenging for me as a child. It left an impact. I am dishonoring them somehow. Right? And one of the ways I talk about this, and I think it is really important for people to have this understanding in order to deal with the baggage that was left.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And one of the ways I explain it is if you go to the doctor, right? You've had a bad knee, right?
Yeah.
You've got a bad knee, and you go into the doctor's office and they tell you what happened, and you say, you know what, I was in the room and somebody was visiting and she was playing with her child and she left the blocks everywhere, and I tripped and I fell and I've hurt my knee.
Okay.
So the doctor says, how irresponsible, why did she do that? What happened? Or he says, oh, how could you have been so careless? Or why didn't anyone else pick it up? Right? The question is, would that be helpful? It's not
Okay.
helpful, because
Right.
what you need at that point is something for the pain in your knee.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who caused it. It doesn't matter where it came from.
Yeah.
Yes, there is a place for not letting it carry on. So if this person is coming every week and leaving blocks in your way, yes, you have to deal with that. But before you can even do that, you have to address the pain in your knee.
Right.
Right.
Right. Good point.
So,
Good point.
And I call it tending to the wound.
Tending to the wound.
So
Okay.
if we have had a childhood experience or an experience in a relationship which has left a mark, which has distressed us in any way, before we can build resources, before we can address the other person, we have to tend to the wound.
Okay.
And the way we do this is having compassion for ourselves.
All right.
Having compassion for ourselves, just acknowledging, ouch, this hurts.
Okay.
This hurts, not making ourselves wrong for the hurt, which women have a PhD in doing. We have feelings, we have distressing feelings, we have anger, we have grief, we have sadness, and then we have feelings about our feelings, right? We feel guilty about feeling angry, we feel sad about feeling ungrateful, whatever it is, right? And that's not helpful.
Okay.
What is helpful is simply acknowledging, ouch, this hurts.
Yeah.
And may I be kind to myself, right?
Okay.
The reason this is hurting is because I'm human.
Right.
And human beings have feelings.
Right.
And those feelings are valid. They just are.
So then, Sister Marzia, give us some practical tips for this person, right? Again, the parent is continually criticizing.
Right. So
does this person say, either dad or mom, whomever this parent might be, please stop,
Yes.
Or is it more like, I hear you, that's perhaps your experience, it's not mine, I'm the best version of myself. I don't mean to be silly or facetious, but what with all your years of experience.
Right. So we are coming to that, right?
Okay.
And the thing is that it is in stages. And if I just say one thing, it's not going to help the person.
Oh my.
Right.
Okay.
So we always start with self-compassion. We always
Got it.
start by recognizing that this hurts.
Got it.
Okay.
Got it.
The second stage is sharing with the other person how their behavior is impacting us.
Okay.
Because if it's a parent, right, again, in order to deal with challenging people, we have to recognize how important is this relationship.
Yeah.
If it's someone you meet at the mosque once a week, I wouldn't put so much effort in it, right?
Right.
But with a parent, the relationship is really important. You don't obviously want to break it. You want to work at it.
Yeah.
So you share what that criticism is doing to you.
Okay.
So, for example, Mom, when I come to visit you, you tell me how I should or should not do this and that with my children. It really undermines my confidence.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. Yeah.
This is quite vulnerable, this statement, because you're actually sharing your experience from their behavior.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And therefore, why we start with self-confidence, with self-compassion, is because you need to work on yourself before you can work on the relationship.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
So here's the thing. This conversation is not a one-off conversation.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
You may need to have it again and again and again.
Okay. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So you share it every time it comes up. You say, Mom, you're doing it again. Right? And the thing is, again, in a relationship, it's 80% positive and 20% dealing with what needs to change.
All right.
So with your mom, for example, how much appreciation are we showing? You know, I call it, my dad used to call it opening their ears. When we acknowledge and appreciate people, they listen.
Yeah.
If you start with telling them with what's wrong, they're not going to listen, right?
100%.
So, mom,
100%.
I really get that you want me to be the best mom I can be.
Okay.
Right. I really get that you are doing this out of love.
Yeah.
I get all that. And right. So the appreciation always has to come before what needs to change.
Okay.
And then you keep sharing. See, mom, again, last week when I came, you told me that my son got an infection because I sent him out without the jacket.
Yeah.
Right. Mom, that's not helpful. It's not helpful. It really makes me lose confidence in my abilities as a mom.
Got it.
And I get that you're trying to help me, but this is not helpful.
Okay.
Right? Now, no matter what stage your parents are, people, when I share this, sometimes people say, but that's very hard. Yes, it is.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Changing relationships or making them work for both people is effort, and it is so worth it.
Okay.
It's so worth it, because what are the options? The options are I am resentful, upset, angry every time I communicate with my mom, and I wait for her to change.
Or you become distant.
Right?
Yeah.
None of those are going to bring me the peace and joy that I seek.
Got it.
None of them is going, because we are wired for connection. Human beings want human connection, especially with our close family, especially with our parents.
Definitely.
So we have to understand it is challenging, and it's so worth it.
Is there another step in this process?
Yes.
Okay.
So imagine now you have shared this, right? You have said
multiple times.
You've said it again and again. And mom, for whatever reason, is not open to it, uses that to further criticize you.
Oh, okay.
You are so sensitive, and
you're making this so real. Oh my goodness. Okay.
You're so oversensitive. You're not supposed to talk like that to me.
Yeah. You can't talk like that back to your mom.
Exactly. Right. So you've done your best. You've actually done your best, and nothing's changing. It's getting worse.
Okay.
That's when you talk about boundaries.
Oh.
So you've worked on yourself, you've made the request, you've shared your experience, none of this is working. That's when we come to boundaries. People, they want to start with boundaries, and they don't understand what boundaries are, right?
Yeah, I don't think any of us understand what boundaries are. So please, like, take time and explain this, because it's always mentioned, right? But what is this term boundary?
Yeah, so most people think boundaries is don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do that, mom. Don't do that.
That's the default,
right? And mom continues to do it. And then they say, see, boundaries are not working. So the first thing to know is boundaries are not about the other person.
Interesting.
A request for change,
yeah,
right, which is what the step before this, right? That is about the other person. That is connecting with the other person, sharing what you want changed in the relationship. Boundaries are, you've done all of that and you're like, Mom, you're on the phone. Mom continues to criticize you. Mom, I'm going to hang up now because this is not helpful. Assalamu alaikum. Inshallah, I'll speak to you again soon. So always end with love and positivity, but you've set your boundaries. And the boundaries, you have to announce them, you know. So Mom, I've tried to have this conversation with you. I've told you, when you criticize my parenting or my cooking or my housekeeping or whatever that might be, it really impacts me. I've tried to explain that to you. And if you continue to do that, I'm going to have to either change the subject or cut the conversation short.
Okay, yeah.
So I want you to understand that.
All right.
So you notice how we're constantly in communication. We're not just taking unilateral steps. This is an important relationship.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
She continues to do that. You say, Mom, we talked about that. Gotta go. Assalamu alaikum.
Okay.
And you end the conversation. That's a boundary. You say, what you are going to do. So you see, the boundary doesn't depend on the other person. They will continue to be who they are,
Right.
and it is the step that you will take in order to protect yourself,
Okay.
basically.
Okay.
Right?
All right. Producer Kashyap, let's get to another question. This is like super helpful.
Yes, Jazakallah khair. So, there was a sort of a related question, but the situation was saying I work with someone who drains my energy every day. So I'm guessing this is like an office or work environment. How do I protect my peace without seeming rude or cold? So does, we just discussed it, but does anything change in a sort of work situation that folks might be in?
Not really. So you can use the same steps, right? Acknowledge that this really annoys you for yourself,
Yeah.
right? This is before you even interact with the other person. You make a request, when I'm in the middle of the workday and I really get, always validate what they're going through, right? So I get that you had a hard day, but it really distracts me from my work when you share everything that's wrong with the boss. It is actually impacting my work.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're sharing that, nothing changes, and then that's when you set boundaries. Please, I'm not willing to have this conversation right now.
Right. Right.
When you say please stop, or why are you venting, anything. And this, by the way, all of this takes practice. You're not going to get it right the first time, and I in really important relationships, I always recommend that people practice.
Good to know.
Practice in front of the mirror.
Okay. Yeah.
Practice saying these things, because they're not going to come naturally. If they were, you're already doing what comes naturally, right?
Got it.
So you practice, and then you say it again and again. I'm not willing to have this conversation right now.
Right.
I am not willing. There's no argument, because it's about me.
Right.
If I tell you you are being negative, you can always argue about that, because I'm not being negative, and so it's better to say less and take more action.
Okay.
Right.
Very wise. Very wise. Producer Kashyap, let's do another question.
Yeah, I'll just follow up with a question from my end.
Mm-hmm.
So especially for me, I'm just relating it back to a work setting. But how do you know that something is like, I'll use this as like I play in my head, like someone's doing something that's bothering me, right? But how do I know it's like worth it to address it, right?
Yeah.
So is it more effort to address it? Is it just be patient with it, and I only see him once a day for a few minutes, let him go on with it? So how do I know it's worth it? A lot of people struggle with that.
Yeah,
I think.
that's a really good question. So how do you know? Do you think about it, after it's over? Do you brace yourself every time you have to meet this person? And like you said, if you are meeting this person for a few minutes a day, is it really worth it? And that's what I started by saying, right? That you have to kind of evaluate how important is this relationship. Somebody you meet once in a while, okay, they're annoying, get on with life, right? But if it is really impacting you, then and if you really like this person, you want to have a relationship with them, it's worth bringing it up. So does that help? There's another thing which I recommend people do. A lot of people live in very challenging situations.
Okay. Yeah.
For example, you're living with in-laws, who tend to be critical,
Yeah.
or who whatever. Okay. And what happens is that you wake up in the morning and you're already on the defensive. Before you go down the steps and you meet them, your nervous system is already ramped up.
Your back is up against the wall already.
And you are waiting for the first jab.
Yeah.
Take control of yourself.
Very
So
good advice.
Be intentional when you wake up, and I have this this practice. If enough people want it, I'm happy to share it somewhere, but I call it resourcing myself. So it's like a visualization meditation. You wake up, you have the intention of resourcing yourself, you kind of ground your feet into the floor, you imagine resources going up like a trunk of the tree into your body, courage, confidence, voice, all of those things. If you need to, you imagine you have a glass shield around you that can repel anything which is not needed,
Right.
which is going to impact you. And so you are entering the situation empowered rather than on the defensive.
Okay. All right. All right.
So many people say that this has changed their life, whether it is in a home situation, whether it's a work situation, whether it's with a boss.
Got it.
It's just the idea of being intentional, noticing the resources you already have,
Right.
getting in touch with the feelings of courage, confidence, whatever you need, and then interacting. Even with a parent who is about to criticize you, the phone rings and you kind of brace yourself, right? I would say, why are you waiting for your parent to call you?
Right.
Ground yourself, resource yourself, know when you're in a good space, and then use your home ground advantage.
Okay.
Call them. Don't wait
Great
for them.
advice.
So, for example, an energy vampire, right?
Yeah.
You know that they need to touch in with you every day. You go to them when you are feeling resourced, have that 5 minutes of interaction, say, I will see you tomorrow.
Okay.
Right.
Turn the tables. I like that. Very nice. Great advice. Producer Kashyap.
So someone was just commenting, amazing guidance. So look at it. So the second topic we sort of advertised was responding, not reacting. So I think I see some questions with that kind of theme coming up. I think this one sums it up very well. So someone on IG wrote in, how can I stop reacting so quickly when someone triggers me? I regret my words later, but can't seem to control it in the moment.
Yeah.
Oh, great question.
Wow.
Please take your time on this one.
Fabulous question.
Yeah.
And something we can all relate to.
Yes.
Right? So, one of the metaphors that I kind of use is when we want to build a skill, responding is a skill, right? When we want to build a skill, say, for example, you're learning tennis. You don't go to center court, Wimbledon, to practice your backhand.
Yeah.
Right? You don't enter a championship in order to hone your skills. You do it in your backyard.
Yep.
You practice your serve. You really get good at it before you enter the championship.
Yeah. It's like karate, right? Both my daughters take karate, or even my son who's doing basketball. You start with the basics, right?
Exactly.
And we've seen in so many movies and on TV shows, you do the one motion. And you'll be doing that for months on end, right?
What was that? On and off.
On,
wax
on, wax off.
Exactly.
From the famous Karate Kid movie, right?
Really good example. Exactly. So when you know that you're in the habit of reacting, right? You already know this. It's happened multiple times. You know this about yourself. Don't expect to be able to take that pause which you need in the middle of an argument.
Yeah.
You need to practice pausing. You need to practice that when you're not triggered, right? So, for example, one of the, we have the way we live life, modern life, is our nervous systems are always ramped up.
Yeah.
They're always ramped up, right?
True.
So we have input, and we're always on high alert because of the way we live.
Yeah.
So we cannot expect to suddenly be these calm Zen things when challenges encounter us. Right. So we need to be intentional in cultivating that mindfulness in our lives.
Okay.
So sit in silence for 5 minutes a day, right? A great practice before you start your salah. It will change the quality of your salah.
Oh my goodness.
Right?
Yes, absolutely.
So sit in silence, just notice your breathing. Your mind will be there. The biggest mistake we make is we think we have to switch off our mind.
Yeah.
So many people, when I teach this, they'll say, but I had thoughts. Yes, you're human. Your brain, your heart beats, your mind thinks, you know?
Yeah. Well said.
They will come and go. That's not what you're focusing on. You just focus on your breath. Learn to be silent in the minute. Learn to pause in the minute. That, sadly or happily, is simple. And I don't know any other way. I always tell people the magic wands are all out at Amazon, right?
Yeah.
So there's no shortcut to this. We have to practice pausing in order for us to build our resilience when we are dealing with challenging people.
Great advice.
And it doesn't take long, by the way.
Okay.
So, what research shows, if you're in the middle of a full-blown argument, yes, you need about 20 minutes to take a time out. Okay. When it's just like you said something or somebody said something before responding, take 6 seconds.
Take 6 seconds.
6 seconds,
All right.
practice. Even when you're having a conversation with someone, practice pausing for 6 seconds before saying anything.
Yeah.
And this will teach, it's a skill that you need to kind of instill in your body. It's not that, okay, yes, I know it. It's not about knowing, it's about the practice of it.
All right. Okay. Let's continue. For discussion, we got maybe
Yeah,
3 minutes to the top of the hour. So let's
we'll
do a
take
few
two
more
more questions.
Yeah.
I won't display it on the screen just for privacy, and
Mhm.
I don't have time to mask it like I was masking the other ones.
Yeah.
It's not working?
No worries.
So the question is asking how to prevent negative thinking of my wife. So, that this is something I'm very guilty of, that one thing that annoys me. Like I just think of that like so much that it overpowers like the 99 good things, right?
Yeah.
So how do you sort of avoid that negative thinking of
Yeah,
your spouse?
negative thinking of spouse.
Yeah.
Let's just make it general.
Ah.
Spouse.
Hmm.
The
Okay.
other, right? Your partner in the relationship, your better half, your spouse.
Okay. So again, this is a practice.
A practice.
It's
Okay.
every,
Do tell.
I don't have any tips, tricks, or hacks.
Or
right?
magic wands.
Or magic wands. All of these are consistent practices. The more you do them, the easier they'll become. They'll become a part of you, right? So the practice is that we have to be intentional in nurturing fondness and admiration for our spouses and our loved ones. Nurturing fondness and admiration. What does that mean? And again, this comes straight from research. One of the keys to maintaining a happy long-term relationship is to be intentional in nurturing fondness and admiration, expressing your appreciation.
Okay.
So our mind, and there's very good reason for why our mind goes to negative. We won't go into that right now, but it's enough to be said that this is a common experience. When we live with someone, their annoying habits become very obvious to us, and their good qualities, what drew us to them
In the first
initially,
place. Yeah.
kind of go by the wayside.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Happily married couples, what we call the masters of relationship, have this habit of having those rose-colored glasses on for long term. How do you do this? The practice is to actually notice and appreciate your spouse every single day. And so when I start working with couples, one of the first pieces of homework I give them is you need to practice appreciation 3 times,
Okay.
3 times a day minimum.
day. Oh, wow.
And there's a formula to it.
Okay.
Right?
Please do tell.
So, many people say, but he's done so many things wrong, or she's always doing this. Or yes, I'm not saying they're not. Our mind goes to the 5 things they're doing wrong, but not the 95 things that they might be doing right.
Yeah. And those 5 things then overshadow,
Exactly.
overpower the other, like you say, 95 things they're doing
How
good.
to ruin
All right.
a perfectly good relationship, right?
Yes.
So
yes.
how do we, for example, somebody cooks in the home every day.
Okay.
Now, we obviously take it for granted. We come home from work and we are assuming that food is going to be ready.
Sure.
We only notice the food is not ready when it's not.
Very true.
Right? Happy couples notice every single day that the food is ready, the effort that's gone into making it, and express their appreciation by saying thank you.
Yes.
I call it the 60-second way to change a relationship.
Okay.
Is to start noticing and expressing what's right rather than what's complaining about what's wrong. Complaining, really good. We need that in relationships. We're not minimizing the issues. And in order to deal with the issues, we need to have a strong relationship. We need to have a strong friendship.
Got it.
Right?
Got it. Well said.
And the way to do that is to notice the appreciation. Somebody's taken out the garbage. Somebody's filled gas in the car. I have actually a list that I send to people sometimes, which is 300 things that are happening in our lives every day that we don't even notice.
True. Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So
Great advice. Producer Kashyap, one last question.
Okay, one last question. So I think it came up when you were talking about pre-marriage and the values, the compatibility. So and the mashallah, like you were saying, now a lot of younger generation, a lot of couples are focusing on this, but maybe in the past it wasn't. So so someone was asking, sorry, I'm just trying to find it, was, and it's a very big topic, maybe for another podcast, but just for some general advice, if we realize after marriage our values don't align, how to approach and reach compromise.
yeah, that is not a one sentence answer, right?
Oh, well,
So
give it time. Give it
yeah,
time. Go
so
ahead.
again, compromising is a very important skill for
Mm,
relationships,
yeah.
and we will need to. Absolutely. There will always be times when we are not aligned. Even when we've done our best, even when there's nothing wrong with the relationship. So, I don't want to suggest that when your values are not completely aligned, you've made a mistake and it's wrong. No, absolutely not. This is normal. As you go on in life, you find out that you are at loggerheads with each other. There's just no way to agree.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so again, you don't start with the disagreement. You start building the relationship. So, many couples, when they come into therapy, what do they come for? We have this issue, solve it.
Yeah.
Right.
True.
And the way I work with couples is, let's backtrack. What's the quality of your friendship?
Oh.
How do you get along? Because,
Okay.
what research shows is that happily married couples and unhappily married couples have the same number of issues.
Okay.
Have the same
Huh.
number of issues.
You're the first person that's mentioned that. Okay.
So
good to know.
It's not about every couple has irreconcilable differences.
All right.
Every couple.
Good to know. Good
Okay.
to know.
And again, what Dr. John Gottman, who trained me and who it's basically the gold standard of marriage therapy today, is the Gottman method. He says, and I hesitate to even say this without a lot of explanation.
Oh, go ahead.
But he says that almost 75% of your differences
Mhm.
they're not solvable problems. They're not solvable problems. In other words,
Okay.
what you are arguing about in the second year of marriage, you will probably be arguing about in the 10th year of marriage, right?
Okay.
And it's not disastrous. So I'll give you an example
Yeah,
from my own
please,
relationship,
please.
right? My husband and I have very different views on how to manage time.
Mhm.
For whatever I always doing too many things, grew up in Pakistan, going to social events. If the time was for 8 o'clock, it would be rude to show up at 8 o'clock, right?
100%. There is
So
such a thing called desi time, where if
Exactly.
the invitation says 8, you show up at least 9:30,
Exactly.
even 10. So,
And he believes that if a person gives you a time,
Mhm.
it is extremely disrespectful to be late.
Oh, so he goes by corporate time.
Exactly.
Oh, got it.
So here's the thing. Now, in the beginning,
Yes.
Eid mornings.
Yeah.
right?
You're being vulnerable here. Come on, tell us. Tell
Used
the
to
audience.
start
Yeah.
with him being in a bad mood
Mhm.
because I was running 5 minutes late, and he was sitting in the car with the engine on.
Oh my.
And
that 5 minutes then becomes what, 10, 15?
no, and I'm getting so stressed because now he's waiting, and I have
Okay.
3 kids to get ready
Yeah.
and whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
So it took us a long time to understand each other
Mhm.
that this problem is not going anywhere.
Okay.
It's a personality difference.
Yeah. Okay.
Right?
Okay.
No matter how hard I try, and believe me, I do, no matter how hard I try, it's challenging for me, right?
I get it.
And, because we have so much good in our relationship, alhamdulillah,
Alhamdulillah.
this issue is not the biggest thing in our lives.
Okay.
It's there,
Yeah.
it still shows up from time to time,
Yeah.
and it's not the end of the world. Like
Okay.
we understand each other, we know why this is important, and because we've had those conversations, we are closer in the sense of he is more relaxed, like he no longer sits on Eid morning in the car with the engine running.
Good to know for the
And-
audience. Yes, good to
yes.
know.
And I do my best to be there on time.
All right.
Is it perfect? Absolutely not. Right?
Relationships never are.
It's an unsolvable problem in our relationship.
Okay.
And alhamdulillah, there is much more good. So it's one issue in the larger scheme of our relationship.
Got it.
Right?
Okay.
So happy marriages, strong marriages, it turns out, are not those who don't have these issues.
Right.
It's that they don't, the way I language it is that do not hold your relationship hostage to the issues in your life.
Okay.
So, for example,
Wow.
holding my relationship hostage would be me getting so upset with him, and not that we haven't done that in the past, right?
Mhm.
Me getting so upset with him, not talking to him for the rest of the Eid, right? Him getting so upset with me that being, dismissive of me for 2 or 3 days, right?
Mm.
That means that we have this issue, and now we are letting it spill over into other parts of our life. We are letting it spill over into the good parts of our life.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
And so many couples are doing that.
Okay.
They have 1 or 2 issues and they cannot move past them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
And that kind of colors
Exactly.
everything else.
Exactly.
Right. You just can't get past that. And then it comes to a point sooner or later where you forget why you started fighting in the first place, but you just feel angry.
Yes. And then
And you're directing that anger to the other person. Right. And then the other person obviously is on the defensive or offensive and also angry. And then there just seems no end.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's when, instead of being a safe space, instead of looking forward to seeing your spouse, instead of them being sukoon for you,
Yes.
it turns into negative energy. It turns into, the minute you see each other, there's resentment and there is conflict and distress.
Would this be the time then where you basically take a step back and you focus on the 95% of the good things, focus on the relationship, focus on the positive side of things, and perhaps maybe be like, hey, hun, you know what? That was a day ago. Let's just reset, right?
Absolutely.
Let's help. Why don't you do the cooking tonight? Not that I'm saying that, women do the cooking only. Please don't get me wrong. But, maybe it becomes like a shared experience, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, whatever.
Olive branch, very, very important to offer the olive branch.
All right.
And equally important to accept the olive branch.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay. Producer Kashif, do I have the thumbs up? I do have a thumbs up. Sister Marzia, thank you so very much. So very much. This has been a very, very, very informative session. Because at the end of the day, this podcast is known for a few things. A happy, strong family. That family could be a new couple, a couple that's been married for years, maybe a couple dealing with a parent, a couple dealing with in-laws. You've addressed the entire spectrum as much as we possibly could have within the span of an hour. So thank you so very much. This is Brother Mushtaq signing off for the Happy Strong Family team. This team is a volunteer-led run team. We simply do this as a means of Sadaqah Jariyah. We are a volunteer organization. And as I said, please, please, no one should suffer alone. No one should suffer in silence. As a community, the Muslim community, the community of faith, you have so many resources now available to you. Gone is the time where basically you just had to scratch your head and be like, oh, this is a problem I have to carry on my own shoulders. That time is gone. And as we've said, both producer Kashif and I, use your health coverage, credits, benefits, funds, money in the corporate account. If you don't, it doesn't benefit anybody except the corporate bigwigs. Use that. Sister Marzia is here. We've shown her on all the different socials. Contact her, find her website, and also share this episode. This has been a phenomenal episode. It's just chock full of great, sage advice, great wisdom from a family counselor, family therapist of 20 plus years. And yes, experience does matter. So thank you so very much. Everyone, tune in often. We do broadcast live from the Happy Family Studios within the Masjid Dar al-Iman building every Sunday. We try to do it every Sunday. If not, you'll see something pre-recorded, but tune in often. Share our episodes. Like I said, we do this simply as a means to please Lord Almighty, to please Allah, and hopefully there will be some khair in this. We do this as a means of sadaqah jariyah, just to get the word out, just to provide a platform for great, family therapists like Sister Marzia to say, you know what, we are here for you. So do yourself a favor, do yourself a friend or family member's favor, and share this episode with them. Enough for me. Signing off. Bye for now.